opening with a close-up on a thoughtful, slightly sad but ultimately resilient face, perhaps with a wedding photo subtly in the background. Can you imagine having your dream wedding venue, a place you'd waited 3 years for, stolen right out from under you? Not by a stranger, but by your own sister, with your parents cheering her on. My life was turned upside down, and honestly, the betrayal cut deeper than any knife. Just last week, my parents hosted their annual family barbecue, and everything felt normal, until it wasn't. In the middle of the festivities, my sister, my golden child sister, dropped a bombshell. She announced her pregnancy. Of course, everyone was thrilled, cheering her on, and basking in her glow. But then, as the celebration was in full swing, she turned to me. In front of everyone, she casually asked if she could use my wedding venue for her wedding. She thought it was beautiful, she said, and couldn't possibly plan her own right now. My heart sank. This wasn't just any venue. It was the place my fiancé and I had envisioned our special day, a place we'd waited 3 long years for, patiently, on a waiting list. The air just went still. I could feel all eyes on me, expecting me to roll over, to say yes. But something inside me snapped. As much as I love her, I firmly, unequivocally said no. It was my venue. And just like that, the floodgates opened. She burst into tears, dramatically stormed off, and the immediate aftermath was a blur of accusations. My nan, without missing a beat, told me I was selfish. She needs it more than you do, she insisted. I tried to defend myself, to explain, but my own mother cut me off with this gem. You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something? The sheer audacity. A few more stinging comments later, my fiancé, bless his heart, reached his limit. His face was thunderous. He grabbed my hand and we left, not a moment too soon before he absolutely tore into them. I knew he was close to exploding. Later that evening, the phone calls started. First, my sister. She was crying, of course, telling me it was unfair that I always get what I want, and how I could have done this one thing for her. It was a classic guilt trip. Then my brother-in-law called. He sounded genuinely apologetic, saying he discussed it with my sister and she'd promised she wouldn't ask. He was properly furious with her and warned me that she was now blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage when, he wisely pointed out, she had clearly done this to herself. Meanwhile, my father bombarded me with 5 angry texts, all variations of, I hope you're happy. Your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday. The emotional warfare was relentless. My fiancé and I talked, and honestly, it wasn't even a debate. My sister was out of the bridal party. We immediately replaced her with my amazing aunt, who, thankfully, was the only family member who had actually taken my side. We still haven't decided if we'll invite my parents or the rest of the family to the wedding at all. But the drama didn't stop there. Oh no. My mom, in her infinite wisdom, decided to take matters into her own hands. She called my fiancé's parents, telling them it would be best if my sister got the venue because, she's pregnant. My future father-in-law, a man I already adored, became my hero that day. He told them, in no uncertain terms, to F off, and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous. He warned them that if they kept playing favorites, they were going to lose me entirely. And then, guess what? My mom started crying too, calling my wonderful father-in-law a butt-face. Honestly, it was just getting pathetic. Like a bad soap opera. Within the hour, my in-laws were driving to our place with supper and wine, telling me not to worry, and that no matter what, they would be my safety net. Their love and support were a lifeline. Asterisk, by the way, if you're still with me through this roller coaster of family drama, please hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories like this are definitely coming. Asterisk. The next day, the texts from my sister resumed. She kept berating me about the venue, saying I was unfair, that she was family, and that she asked nicely because she loves me. She sent a huge text about us being family, how I should have her back, and not be so selfish. A lifetime of resentment, of being her doormat, bubbled to the surface. My fingers flew across the screen. The only text I sent back was this: "I am sorry that you perceived it that way, but I am sick and tired of bending to your will my whole life. I have been your servant and your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum if you didn't get presents? Or when you cried so I would fill out job applications for you because you were literally too lazy to write your own CV and mom supported you in doing that. But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. Remember how you said it wasn't unfair, I was getting the entire spotlight? So you took it upon yourself to wear the most expensive dress our parents could buy you, made a cake for yourself, hung up balloons for yourself, and insisted on being included in every single picture I took? I am done. I admit I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry so badly before your baby is born, then you could look at a different hotel that offers last-minute weddings. I've spent too much time planning my wedding to just gift it to you. And if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault." Her reply was a single, chilling text. "Wow, you must love me so very much." And then she blocked me. This morning, however, she unblocked me, but not to apologize. Instead, she sent a screenshot of a message from my wedding planner. It read, "Hello, dear. I got the message from your mother, and we'll proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract." My jaw hit the floor. The audacity of my mother, forging ahead without my consent. My parents hadn't actually written to me since the whole thing with my father-in-law. But my older brother, who lives out of town, called. He wanted to know what happened because he'd gotten a weird story from mom and dad. They told him that I had offered to give up the venue before the barbecue, and then humiliated her publicly. I told him what really happened, every infuriating detail. To my immense relief, he had no problem believing me. We talked for hours about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that his move away was partly due to their constant favoritism and being jerks to us. He told me mom was now mad at me for betraying the family. Immediately, we called my planner. She was absolutely horrified, assuring me she had never spoken to my mother since the day we went to book the venue. She confirmed that even if they were to call and claim I wanted to change something, I had to be physically present to make any alterations. It was such a relief, a small victory. We informed all our wedding vendors, and they, being amazing, offered to hire security for our wedding day at a reduced price, just in case. But the online harassment began. My sister started a smear campaign on Facebook, posting constant passive-aggressive remarks and claiming I had made her depressed. I was inundated with messages from her friends, calling me a B***tch for treating her that way. I blocked every single attempt at online harassment, and my sister too. But 2 days later, her best friend actually egged my car. I called the police, and thankfully my neighbor, a grumpy lady whose hobby is, let's just say, observing, identified them. Turns out, she's actually very lovely once you get to know her. After several days of silence, my parents finally called, asking if we could talk things out. I was wary, but I agreed to meet them with my fiancé at our apartment. When they arrived, you could tell my mom had been crying. And honestly, for about 10 whole minutes, I felt bad. Turns out, my sister is just an a-hole. No medical history, no diagnosis, nothing. Just entitled. We started with awkward chit-chat, then slowly, carefully moved to the main event. My father, surprisingly, asked why we had canceled our caterers. My fiancé, ever quick-witted, responded, "We didn't want to have anything you could hold over our heads." My dad acted offended, claiming he would never do that, to which I simply said, "Better safe than sorry." My mother, predictably, called me disrespectful for talking to them like that. My patience had officially run out. I shot back, and I find your behavior incredibly disrespectful after everything you've said and done over the last few days. The argument about the venue ignited again. My father repeated his tired old line, "It doesn't matter where you get married, but the person you're marrying." Finally, I had my comeback. "Yes, Dad, exactly. But isn't it weird how that only applies to me and not my sister? As long as she's marrying brother-in-law, it doesn't matter where, right? The air crackled with tension. My father's face turned beet red, and he started gasping for air like a fish on land. My mother was quietly crying again. Well, I pressed. I'm waiting for your reasoning. My father slapped his hands on the table and launched into a rant about family and sacrifices and how a loving family should do what's in their power to make each other happy. I just looked at him. Like how you tried to make me happy on my graduation day, Dad? You know, about the time my sister smashed my cake because she wasn't in the limelight? Silence. My mother, barely audible, asked, "Why do you hate us so much?" I looked her dead in the eye. I could ask you guys the same thing. Again, nothing. My parents knew they had messed up, but they weren't ready to admit it. My mother tried another guilt trip, saying my sister was miserable and hadn't gone out in days because people judge her so much. My father went on a tangent, excusing my little sister's behavior by saying she just needs more time and attention because she's the youngest. It was the same old song and dance. I told them I felt deeply hurt because I could now see their blatant favoritism, and they weren't even trying to conceal it anymore. I told them they loved my sister more. My mother, predictably, tried to deny it. That's not true. We love you all the same. I wasn't having it. I pulled out my phone, opened a list I had been compiling. On it were every single instance I could remember of them putting my sister before me. Some had dates, some were specific situations, but it was a very long list. As I read it aloud, their faces drained of color. They were horrified, beet red, and close to tears. They tried to interrupt, to explain how I was wrong, but I held up my hand. "This conversation is leading nowhere," I said. "You have two choices. Either you set up family counseling for all of us and apologize to me sincerely, or you won't be invited to the wedding." They left. They haven't called since. After that last conversation, my parents did not budge. I was still the bad guy. I was still responsible for my sister's depression and her failing relationship. It got so bad that I had to block them and even change my number because they were contacting me from relatives' phones and burner numbers. It was a real bummer, especially during a time that should have been so special. My sister and her entourage continued to harass me on Facebook and Instagram, so I simply deleted those apps. It was a mentally draining time, but my husband's family, my friends, and my brother helped me get through it. I basically cut off every family member who had given me crap for keeping my wedding date. A few days before the wedding, my nan showed up at my door, begging to be let in. We had a long talk, and she actually ended up apologizing, even though she still failed to see the logic in switching weddings. But she promised not to pressure me and just wanted to be there for me. We hugged it out, but our relationship definitely isn't back to normal yet. The bachelor and bachelorette parties were amazing. My husband even baked a beautiful 3-layered cake for mine. It was delicious. Then came the wedding day. The morning was surprisingly good and relaxing. But as we were getting ready to leave for the ceremony, taking before pictures with my friends at the venue, a familiar car approached. It was my sister's. A storm was brewing. One of my bridesmaids sprinted inside to get one of the security people we'd hired. I really didn't want another Hulk smash moment at my wedding. My sister spilled out of the car, eyes wild, face streaked with tears and rage. As soon as she saw me, she started screaming obscenities. Apparently, I was a filthy B*TCH who had made her fiancé break up with her. She was possessed, truly. And in that moment, I couldn't help but feel a pang of pity for her. Now, a quick detail. In the mornings, the venue's plants are always watered by these sprinkler systems, so the earth was a bit muddy. The next thing happened really fast. My sister bent down, scooped up a handful of mud, and was getting ready to hurl it at me, at my wedding dress. But before she could, my maid of honor, my amazing, lightning-fast MOH, sprinted towards her and pushed her. My sister stumbled, landing with a loud thump right into the flower bed, her butt sinking into the muddy soil. The security officer arrived seconds later and swiftly removed her. And with that, I had all the ammunition I needed. I filed for a restraining order against her. I didn't even want a police report at that point. I just wanted her to stay away from me forever. The rest of the day was nothing short of amazing. I married my best friend, the love of my life, my rock. My brother walked me down the aisle, and we all cried during the vows. It was just spectacular. Of course, I miss my parents, but it is what it is. The celebration was incredibly funny. My husband even learned a full choreography to a Taylor Swift song with his groomsmen, and the speeches could have been from a stand-up club. We left for our honeymoon, and when we came back, I decided it was time for a clean break. I started looking for jobs in a different city. It hurt to think about leaving my friends, but I just felt like I needed a fresh start. I got a new job at a university in a bigger city, and we are currently in the process of moving. But maybe the biggest and most cliché change is this. I'm pregnant. It's a classic honeymoon baby, and we couldn't be happier. I've only heard snippets about the rest of my family through people back in town. My sister is still going around telling anyone who will listen that I was the reason her brother-in-law broke up with her and that I was trying to dox her. She's moved back in with my parents again and refuses to work. Nan told me the last time she saw my parents, they looked utterly exhausted because my sister was behaving like a baby. I guess, finally, their parenting is catching up with them. All I can say is that I am truly happy right now. It hurts having lost some family, but at the end of the day, cutting out toxic people was the best thing I could have done for myself and my growing family. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family members like this? Tell me what you think. I really want to know.